Welcome to the introduction to the STEER for Student Athletes Mental Skill Program for academic year 2015. I am Dr. Hector Morales. You know me already as I've been working with you for the last 3 or 4 years in the development of the student program. If you're new to the program, I'm looking forward to meet you during my visit in January. You are listening to this introduction because you were not able to make the first one-on-one interaction when we spoke with all the athletes together. So definitely miss you there, and look forward again to build the connection and interact. Um, from the last time you saw me, there's been some changes, and I'm now retired from the military and working with a professional baseball organization, doing the same things that I do with you, which is providing athletes with key elements and strategies to be able to compete better, to be better students, to be better professionals. That is the mission of the peak mental game optimal performance education approach. What I want to do, what I do through the STEER program, and the reason I stay working with you through the STEER program is to ensure that I can contribute to your development in terms of providing you a set of mental toughness tools that can impact your mental approach to your sport, to academics, and to professional life. And that's why you see the pigmental game symbol there. It's very simple. It looks like a tree, which is the foundation, and what it looks like is a very wide base here at the bottom, which is the foundation of the skills that we're trying to provide you here through the skills program, character development, the mental approach, and some of the things that we're going to talk about that can help you in all elements of life, whether it's your sport, whether it is your academics or your professional life in the future. This foundation that we're building with the mental skills approach doesn't go away. It doesn't erode. It can only get better over time. If you have any questions about any of the slides that are presented, please feel free to email me directly at peakmentalgame@gmail.com. Make sure you put on the subject line that you're a student athlete in the STEER program, and that way I will get to you right away and respond. At this time, you probably already have received the manual that you're going to be filling and doing your assessments every day. And this one is going to be given. If you don't have it yet, you will get it from one of the directors or your coordinator, and then I will collect it from you during my first visit in January. So I can give you some feedback about what kind of assessments you're doing, and we'll discuss that a little bit more as we go. The pigmental game optimal performance approach, as you see here in the picture, is a four-legged table that has optimal performance, which is what all athletes and professionals look for. Optimal performance as a glass ball on top of that table. And you can imagine already what happens if one of those table legs is short. If one is short, then the table will tilt and optimal performance will roll off the table and you will never be able to achieve it. So this is just kind of a model to show you what I mean by it. But at the end of the day, the higher you go in competition, as you can probably tell already, as high school students, many of your friends that used to play the sports before high school are no longer playing. They just either lost interest, they were not motivated, that's something they didn't like, the training was too hard for them, they didn't think they had enough skill. So now what you get to see is the tip of the triangle as is closing in. So all high school athletes are now serious about the sport. For the most part, they want to compete, they want to get better. And once you have individuals that are at a similar level of natural talent, then every single one of these areas here becomes important. If you're not mentally prepared, if you're not focused, if you're not composed, if you're not confident, then you cannot give 100% in the competition or in life or in the classroom. The same thing with training. If you don't study, if you don't develop your skill, you're not going to improve. Nutrition becomes important because that's what's fueling your effort and participation. And then lastly, the recovery, which allows for adaptation. We all know that if you show up to a competition or to a game without being properly rested, or if you worked out very hard yesterday, then you won't be able to maximize your performance either. So all these four elements, among other things that will also contribute, are the ones that P&G is going to focus to try to help you develop to the next level. And in any program that we start, we always try to find out what your motivation, desire, and commitment are to get better. So throughout my interactions with you, I'm always looking to see how committed you are to try to improve in your mental skills. We got to do some assessments into education. So the education piece is on my side. I'm giving you that education. You have to do some assessments about your personal challenges in every single one of these areas. You have to develop realistic goals. So let's say that you identified that confidence is one of the things that you need to work on. Because every time you're playing somebody that's really, really good, then you start having some doubts about your ability to compete. Then we develop some realistic goal setting and develop a plan to be able to improve and fix that. And then we implement our program. And then from that point on, we decide if this is something that we definitely want to maintain, or we need to change it, or do we achieve the goal that we wanted. So in everything we do, we're supposed to use this model to ensure that we're getting the best out of the training and the efforts that we're working on. Again, so if you have any questions about any of these things or any of these slides, feel free to contact me directly about it. Here are the 5 areas of mental toughness that we're going to be developing and working through the PMG optimal performance area: confidence, concentration, motivation, resilience, and composure. When I met with all your peers, I asked them if they knew who this guy was, and they all knew that was Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world. Now, he talks about mental toughness in one of the interviews that they did for him. So I'm going to bring that up real quick, and I want you to listen to what he says about mental toughness and mental skills.
Michael, which were you more proud of, your athletic skills or the mental skills that you brought? Which was more difficult to keep up?
Well, I came in here with the physical skills. I was, to some degree, I was born with the appetite to enhance it as I got older and as I played the game. But the mental skills came with the education of the game. That either I learned from Coach Smith before I got here, or I learned in the course of the coaching staff that I've been endured with. The mental part is hard because you have to really learn, taking everything that you've learned over a period of time and apply that to your game and tie that into the physical aspect to your game and make the complete basketball player that you try to become. So physically it's a little bit easier, but the mental part is the hardest part, and I think that's the part that separates the good players from the great players.
Notice how he mentioned that he believes that the mental aspect is what he thinks separates the great players from the good players. Because of my experiences right now with professional athletes, I can tell you that he is 100% correct in this. Because there's going to be a point in your athletic career and in your professional career where you show up to a team and everyone on that team will have a very similar level of skill. They all have developed, they all have moved on, they are all really good about doing the physical things. So what makes the difference is, do they have the concentration to do it when there's a lot of distractions? Do they have the resilience to do it when they're behind? Do they have the confidence to do it regardless who they're competing with? Do they have the motivation to work hard when things are not going well? Can they keep themselves with control of their emotions? And that's what this mental toughness is all about. And we're going to talk about every single one of these individually just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of things we're going to be doing down the road. The first area that we're going to focus on is composure. As you can tell, if you're not in control of your emotions, you can't compete very well. You have to channel that and use it to your benefit. So composure is nothing but more than understanding your energy level for competition, and is managing your pre-game, during the game, and after the game energy. It's learning to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable. Not everything is going to be perfect. At times, things are not going to feel well. You still have to execute. You still have to do your job. Some of the tools that we're going to learn in here for that are pre-performance routines, daily assessments, and we're going to do some physical feedback, understanding how you physically react to certain things and how to notice that your hands are too tight or that your heart is going too fast to be able to implement some of the strategies that we're going to learn, breathing and relaxation techniques that will help you get to where you need to be. Okay, again, at the end of this presentation, feel free to ask any questions by sending me an email directly to peakmentalgame@gmail.com. Concentration is the next technique that, or the next area that we need to focus on, and this is the ability to focus on the task at hand. Can you do what you're supposed to be doing? Can you stay in the now? Can you worry about? Can you stop worrying about the last play or the future play or all the other problems? Do you have a transition point that helps you get there? Can you recognize when you are out of focus and you find a way to regain it? Do you understand when is more difficult for you to retain your focus? Is it in academics? Is it a particular class? Do I have to have a strategy specifically to this approach to make me better? Those are some of the things we got to keep in mind. So in here we're going to do visualization exercises to help you work on your concentration. We're going to do some attention drills and activities, and then we're going to do some after the game assessments as well, and with the sheet that I'm going to provide you for you guys to work on. Okay. Confidence to me is the most important aspect. Once an athlete loses his confidence and everything else becomes, it starts to put a lot of pressure on it. So confidence is nothing more than believing in yourself and in your capability to do your work and to do your tasks. Trusting your training and your skill to be able to know that you had trained as hard as you could to be able to do what you needed to do. Then assessing yourself to look for the good stuff. We live in a society where it's very, very difficult. We're trained to look for the negative things. And I asked the students when we met in December, what's the last time that you were watching the news and you saw something positive on it? So our mind is trained to look for the negative things. And the more we have a negative voice within, the more impact that's going to have on our confidence. Now we have to be honest with ourselves. If things are not going well, we have to say that. And we have to push ourselves to get to the next level. But we can't be so negative and then overlook all the good things that are happening around us. So some of the tools here is going to be understanding how to talk to yourself properly, how to have some feedback that is empathetic. The way that you talk to your peers when you want to boost them up, when you got to get them ready. Don't worry about it. You know, you'll have another chance, man. You'll snap out of it. But we don't talk to ourselves the same way. So we have to find a way to maintain that balance. Then selectively listening to the feedback of others. When people talk to us, we have to selectively choose what we want to hear, and how we want to implement it. We want to ensure that our effort is also recognized, not just our talent. So when you do feedback self-assessment, you can work on analyzing what they do. And then we got to learn to trust the process of developing. You are, at the end of the day, high school students. So you're high school student athletes. So there's a lot of development to go on. And development is not just a straight line. There's some down points where you're going to have some resilience and be able to fight your way through as you move on. Again, once you understand development, and you're going to have some things and some challenges, then it will be easier for you to battle through some of those. Motivation is the next one. Okay. Well, confidence I consider to be one of the most important ones in terms of performance. I think motivation is what gets you going in the morning. So you need to identify, why are you passionate for what you do? Is that passion going to drive through any other challenge that will come to play? You got to understand what's your why, what's the reason that you do things, and then kind of connect it every day with the reasons why you play. Then with your attitude and your approach, you'll be able to help others stay motivated, and which is also key if you play a team sport, because you as student athletes have a unique opportunity to develop, and other athletes see you differently. They see you as leaders on the field. They see you as individuals that if your motivation is down, everybody else's motivation will be down. If you lose your hope, they will all lose their hope. So we got to have some daily reminders about this. We student athletes, coordinators have to help each other, remind ourselves what we want to do. And then you got to take some notes every day to try to remind yourself where you are. Okay. And then lastly, you got to find some stories on the newspaper to keep yourself motivated. Okay. The last one of the skills here that I want to introduce you today is resilience. Resilience is the ability to deal and manage with adversity. Okay, having perseverance to win the daily battles, the things that happen every day, and then embracing the difficult parts of your day, your sport, your classes, and knowing that there will be some times and there will be some parts that are going to be difficult for you, but it doesn't mean that you can stop or you have to stop. Yeah, it will be difficult, but I'm still going to battle through it and make it happen. Okay, you got to understand your limits and have the courage to improve just a little bit each day. So some of the tools here will be daily assessments. We'll be creating a support system that will help you get through that, to include all your other student athletes and steer, your family and everybody else, and then modifying our self-talk to ensure that we're pushing ourselves to reach the next available challenge. And then lastly, accepting challenges, finding a way to say, you know what, today here's some difficult things that I don't have to go through today, but I'm going to do it anyway. That is just that's my approach. That's what I got to do. This is what I signed up for. This is the reason I like it, and I'm gonna endure, and I'm gonna be resilient through it. Okay. No. So what are we gonna do to include all these things that we just talked about with the mental toughness training program for STEER during this academic year program? We want to make you different. We want you to be the athlete in the blue that has a little bit of an edge to compete against those around you that are trying to compete for those spots that you want. Okay, so the theme this year is to help you take ownership of your development. As high school students, you're old enough to understand that those people who care about their development are going to be able to move forward in life. Okay, so the process is online seminars and communications. So I will do some visits, and during those visits, we will be discussing the elements of the different concepts. Like, for example, you guys were not at the first seminar, so when I meet with you at the end of May, at the end of January, then I'm going to ask you about the 5 components. I'm going to ask you about how does it apply to you. I'm going to ask you to make some self-assessments on those areas. So again, think about where you are in those 5 different areas: composure, confidence, concentration, motivation, resiliency. Think about where you are, and then from there, we can generate some discussions. Will come together. Okay, you're going to receive an email from me with instructions to complete the online seminar. Then the dates for the training that you're going to take are as follows. The first class is going to be about character development. Where is character? How can we improve it? Why is it important for us as STEER student athletes to have this character, and so far, so on. So you're going to have from the first week of January all the way until the 20th to complete that class online. And then on the 22nd and the 23rd, we will have one-on-one sessions where we will discuss what you have. Then we will do the same from 24 January to 4 February. We will do emotional management. There will be a session just like the one you're taking right now, where you do the one-on-one session, and then you do the individual lesson on your own in your computer whenever you have time, and then you take some notes on it, and then we will meet again one-on-one and we'll discuss it. And then we'll have growth mentality, which is the last one, the last visit. You will have almost 2 months to complete that one. So you do it, you ask some questions, and then we'll do one-on-one on 7 and 8 of May. So we will cover all these elements, and this will be the 3 sessions that we're going to be covering in here. Okay, and again, the purpose of this program is to make you a complete student athlete that will separate from others in preparation, execution, and character in all areas of your performance. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, that's the way for you to communicate with me. peakmentalgame@gmail.com. Now, in the handbook that you were provided, you saw this page right here that says Online Seminar 1, Character Counts for High School Student Athletes. The seminar is going to be online. You'll receive the email. You are expected to take notes on the seminar and then have a list of questions for me that I will answer during your one-on-one session. You'll do the same thing for the emotional management and then the growth mentality. So you'll have this packet and you will have your questions and your notes. This is something you're required to do every day, even during the holiday break, until we meet again. Okay, you're going to do the 3-to-1 process assessment, okay, where you're going to identify 3 things that went well, 2 things that did not go well, and a plan that you want to improve, and then the 1 thing that you learned today. And then 1 question that says in there, what is your objective for tomorrow? And then lastly, this one is not mandatory, but it says notes or questions for Dr. Morales about your performance today. So if something happened today that you felt your confidence was not as good as always, your concentration, and you want to write down, you know what, I would like to ask Dr. M about this and about that, you can write it down. So everything is mandatory on that daily assessment, but the exception of the question, that will only be when you need one and you can communicate with me. So again, this is part of the handbook that I provided your coordinators with. So you're supposed to have a copy of this. You got to complete it every day, all the way until January, and then we'll modify it from that point on. Okay, we just got to build habits on finding the things that went well, the things that did not go well, and how to improve, and the things that I learned today, and how am I going to move to the next level. Okay, so again, if you have any questions about anything that we have covered, the best approach is to email me, and we'll start interacting from that perspective. Best of luck this year. Look forward to see you all in January.